Startup culture also in Silicon Valley took place because you had great universities like Stanford and Berkeley around. Not too many cities can boast of two technical universities. You have an NIT here in form of Manit, you have an RGTU. Somewhere where the universities should be able to foster that culture of starting up, of helping entrepreneurs, of seeding companies and incubators?
Certainly, I mean, there's no reason why our technical universities should not step forward to do that.
Sunny, building an ecosystem isn't just about putting up colleges. You can put up incubators. There's also that subjective factor, something about a buzz that attracts young people to certain places. What's the social genesis behind this?
This buzz about, this is something I've been hearing all along in the context particularly of the IT industry, that the city has to have a certain level of quote-unquote quality of living, quality of life, which attracts these youngsters. These youngsters have gone to these cities and businesses have run after them of the mall and multiplex kind. I don't believe that this is the only thing which attracts these young people. I'm sure quality of life is a much larger thing than malls and multiplexes. And when they see the sheer environmental advantage of a city like Bhopal, for instance, I'm sure they're going to really fall for it.
Nakul, would you agree with that largely? Do you see the average first source, say middle manager, would be transferred out of Bangalore or out of Mumbai, enjoying the quality of life that Bhopal so obviously has in terms of being superior to the city?
Yes, I mean, we are in Indore, so I mean, as I told you, Indore does have, of course, not Mr. Sani doesn't subscribe to it, but a lot of malls and multiplexes. So for a youngster, it is appealing. And but then, having said that, I think the first people to relocate would be people from Indore and Madhya Pradesh.
Coming back to that Reliance example again, New Bombay, one of the reasons people wanted to work there was because rents were lower than Bombay, hired health, quality of life, then even therefore you could pay them less, and they were willing to work for Reliance because the quality of life was so good in New Bombay when Infocom just set up. How important today is quality of life, or is the IT industry still about getting the big stock options and making the money however bad the quality of life may be?
I think stock options are not necessarily the only thing. As it is, the half-life of an IT employee has reduced. So he probably doesn't want to wait for 5 years until his stock options are ready to be vested and so on.
And now there's thanks.
But I think the critical mass was important. Reliance Infocom could get all its management at one place. That is the important thing. Similarly, I was saying, if we can find a way of attracting a particular niche industry, whether it is software testing, whether it is animation, or whether it's embedded systems, then maybe there is some excitement to come here. So the point is, supposing, can we motivate some banks? Can we motivate some retail companies to come and set up their infrastructure management centers here? And we say that we will make this into a center for remote infrastructure management for domestic industries.
It's a big opportunity. Mr. Karnik, we've seen a firm like Blackstone buy into a company like Intellinet because it has such a big domestic outsourcing play. Madhya Pradesh, great Hindi speaking skills. There are going to be so many people using the Airtels and Hutch connections who will want Hindi call centers for backup. Domestic outsourcing is a place where Madhya Pradesh could really leverage itself.
Absolutely. I think that whole domestic market is growing, and domestic BPO in particular is growing very rapidly. And there's great scope to begin to do something there. It is not as dependent on English, and as I mentioned elsewhere, I think if you look at relative weaknesses, I'm not saying it's not there, but the perception is that Madhya Pradesh lacks a little bit in English language. Now, if you want to get rid of that handicap to start with, it may improve later. It's a good way to look at the domestic market. And I think 2 points, one which Lalit made very strongly about looking at a niche and the domestic market. I think the point made earlier also about e-governance. I think again in terms of what can be done, and Madhya Pradesh has been amongst the leaders in that, of e-governance, of applying IT. I think between these two there's scope for a lot of people to look at domestic market and use that as the leverage on which you then grow other things.
300,000 to 350,000, that's what Mr. Karnik said is the kind of workforce requirements for the industry just for a year. A big thrust needed to improve the sheer number of output.
I'm sure that you would have noticed that in Madhya Pradesh we are producing 30,000 plus engineers every year and about 2,70,000 other graduates and postgraduates. And with the concept of finishing school setting in this year, which we have already mandated from the CM office, our product, the students coming out of our colleges would be more industry oriented.
Computer Society of India
NASSCOM and Government of Madhya Pradesh, along with the technical universities of the state, are networking together to enhance the competence and capabilities and management skills of the younger generation. The aim of the exercise is to provide high-tech professionals tailor-made to suit the global industries of the world.